Hello, welcome to the Colts complex here on West 56th Street. Gone is training camp, and we are just a few days removed from the NFL regular season. 17 days, in fact, just a few days, I guess, remaining in this preseason as we push ahead to the Colts 2025 campaign. A QB has been chosen. That is Daniel Jones will be QB1 for this team this season for the entirety of the season. And we're continuing to, of course, monitor that situation and hear from head coach Shane Steichen, hear from these Colts players on what they view their perspectives on this situation, and is there a future still here for Anthony Richardson? Of course, all fair questions as we continue to break down this situation and continue to get you ready for the Indianapolis Colts regular season. Injuries, a big point of contention here as the later stages of training camp pressed on. Especially in the defensive backfield. A lot of those guys back at practice, though. Juju Brents, Jalen Jones back at practice. Jalen Jones doing more individual drills while Juju Brents participated in 11-on-11. Xavier Howard now here for the Indianapolis Colts in that defensive backfield. And so we like to see what we're seeing. Kenny Moore back on the field as well. So there's cause for concern there. We weren't sure the significance of a lot of these injuries, but trending the right way. Shane Steichen said as much here at the Colts complex today. He's feeling good about a lot of guys' availabilities going in to week one of the football season when the Colts welcome the Miami Dolphins to Lucas Oil Stadium. That plus a whole lot of other things gearing up for the Colts preseason finale. Colts Bengals Saturday at 1 o'clock. No starters will play, but a lot of roster decisions still to be made for this team. Riley Leonard will play a half. Jason Bean will play a half as well at quarterback. So it's going to be interesting to monitor. Heard from him as well as A.D. Mitchell, Tyler Warren, Travarius Ward. A lot of good insight as always when we hear from the Colts. Take a listen.
Well, I think, he's one play away, from going into an actual game, and don't want to take the risk there. In that situation, we got a lot of our 3s and 4s playing in this game. It's their last opportunity to go prove it, to make a 53-man roster, and that's where it's at.
Are there any guys who have maybe missed preseason action, or like they would be more in your 2s or 1s that you're going to play for just to get them work?
Yeah, I think we signed a few guys too here in the last couple of weeks that are probably going to get a lot of action too in this game. Like I said, I want to make sure our starters are healthy heading into week one. So you'll see a lot of different bodies out there on Saturday.
Have you determined how much Riley and Jason are going to play?
Yeah, Riley will play the first half, and then Bean will play the second half.
This is with Riley. I mean, once the season starts, he won't get a lot of work. So what's the value of Saturday for him?
I think it's big. Being a rookie, getting out there in the game-like atmosphere for him. He's gotten some good reps in training camp, and to get a whole half of action will be good for him and his development.
What are you hearing health-wise?
He will not. He will not.
What are you hearing health-wise from some of your core guys, especially?
They're all tracking well. I'll say that. I think a lot of those guys hopefully will be back next week, and then for sure I think they'll be back for week one.
Getting Jalen and Juju back with that corner, do you feel obviously it's been better with the cornerback position?
Yeah, for sure. We want to get those guys back out there and healthy, and obviously Juju practiced today, and Jones is tracking well. So Juju will get some reps on Saturday, get those game reps, but to get those guys back will be big for the depth there.
What's up, Buck?
He's got a back right now. Yeah.
Shane, did anybody maybe around the league reach out to you after the decision, just, I don't know, expressing support, advice, anything?
Yeah, I had people reach out all the time when stuff like that happens, and I'll keep those conversations private, but had good conversations with people around the league.
Shane, when Anthony got benched again, you mentioned, I actually, what do you think you could have done throughout the development process to help him, I guess, not get to that point again? You mentioned the injuries that he's going through. Well, beyond injuries, what other things do you think you could have done to help develop and plan get to where he needs to go?
Yeah, I think that's a process. It's a day in and day out process. Like I said, just in the meetings, the classroom, the fundamentals of everything, and continue to work and stride in those areas. And he has made improvements in those areas, and I think he's going to continue to improve in those areas.
Well, I guess what you specifically, what do you think you could have done differently?
Well, I think you look back in those situations, like I said, I mentioned the injuries, but again, meeting with them, met a lot with them during those injuries, just obviously from a mental standpoint, staying in it. And I think he did a good job with that, and he's continuing to improve with that. So those things in the classroom, continue to develop that. I think that's just an ongoing process, is what we're going through.
Shane, getting back to
just how much effort does the coaching staff put into evaluating each game when you have all those preseason?
Yeah, no, they're big. I think sometimes I've been around guys in a third preseason game. Austin Eckler is a great example. When I was at the Charger with him, we played at San Francisco, and he caught a couple passes and broke away and kind of made a name for himself in that game for us. And we kept him on the roster, and he's become a great player in this league for a long time. So, you never know who it's going to be for us this year. So I'm excited to see those guys go and play Saturday.
Shane, guys have talked about how Daniel reports himself into the job and his presence being here a lot and all that kind of thing. How does that? How do you see that sort of help raise his game? What's the direct correlation there?
Yeah, I think it's a great correlation. A guy that's he loves the process. In here early, the work ethic. Obviously, being a veteran player, seeing a lot of ball. The way he talks to the receivers about route discipline and certain things with the offensive line, I think will pay dividends for us.
Is he? I think a couple of guys even said he's pretty assertive about that stuff, like with the guys. I mean, we talked to him and he's quiet as a mouse. So, how do you see him sort of assert himself that way?
You see it on the practice field all the time after plays. He'll bring guys over, hey, on this play, hey, make this adjustment here. I like this versus this coverage. If they're playing this, shoot, you might need to break that route off a little sooner rather than later. All those little details that go into it, like I said, with those guys, and they're taken to it. Like I said, I think it'll pay dividends.
Shane, how would you evaluate just the job that Cam Turner's done in the quarterback's room since you got here, specifically with Anthony and all those kind of behind-the-scenes areas?
Yeah, no, I think he's been very detailed. Cam is very meticulous about the breakdowns, the note-taking, going over every detail, situations that could come up in the game. Obviously, when you're going through a game week prep, and even in the offseason, I think he does a great job with that stuff. And he treats everybody the same, coaches everybody hard, but I think he's very detailed in that aspect.
Your penalty numbers have been high in the preseason. Usually you're a pretty good penalty team. Do you chalk that up to preseason emphasis, or?
Well, that's a huge. No, I know. I think a lot of teams have had it around the league, and that's a huge emphasis. That's one of the first things I always go over in the team meeting is the penalty report, whether it's practice or joint practices or preseason games, of eliminating those things. And a lot of those things, sometimes you can't control some of the things. Sometimes you get a call that you may not like, you could disagree with it, but a lot of those things come down to technique and fundamentals. The holding stuff, got to eliminate those. False starts, or they're all controllable things. And so I make a big point of emphasis on that, going into the season.
Shane, why do you think you all should be trusted to, help Daniel Jones play better football than he has as of late or recently in the last couple of years? And the last time you were trusted to develop a quarterback, he's been benched for a second time.
Yeah, I think, when you go through a process, and Daniel's, going into year 6 had, some highs there in New York and then had some lows. But the way he's attacked it, the communication that I've had with him, that Jim Bob's had with him, that Cam's had with him, it's been very fluid in that regard. So I feel confident in that.
A couple more?
Josh Downs for week 1, or is he?
I do. I feel good with Josh, yeah.
Mentally, how do you think Anthony's handling this situation? Do you think he's deflated or anything like that, just a couple days removed from it?
You know what? I've had great conversations with him the last 2 days. Obviously, when I let him know the news, he handled it great like a pro. Talked to him yesterday in my office, and he was great. And he just said, hey, man, I'm going to continue to work. And I said, you're one play away. He's like, you're right, I'm one play away. So he's been great.
When do you think it shifted from he needs to play to get better and get the reps to he needs to sit to get better?
Well, I think we had a competition. I made that very clear, and I'm very transparent about the competition, and those guys were competing for a job. And Daniel won the job, and so now he's going to see it in a different light.
And what's Anthony's long-term future here? How do you see what plan do you all have for him to develop?
We're going to continue to develop in the meeting rooms, on the practice field, fundamentals, details. Still go through your process like you're going to be a starter because you're one play away.
All right, thanks, guys.
We're about, not far from the season. Like, how do you feel about the new scenery, the new team, the defense at large, just the team? I mean, you're a veteran, a good locker room, a good football team. Like, what's your feelings about everything?
I like it so far. Everything been good. Good coaching, good teammates. All my teammates cool. As far as on the field, I feel like the defense, we've been bringing good energy most of the days, you know what I'm saying? It's been some good days, bad days, but it's part of the growth process of learning a new defense, and it's a lot of new pieces on defense as well, so we'll get there.
How much pride do you take in turning this defense around? I mean, that was the big thing coming from last year to this year, right?
Man, I just want to be good, man. I want to be great. I want to get to the playoffs, man. I don't want to be part of no losing team or no bad defense. So, like I said, man, we got a lot of work to do to just be a good defense, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how the defense was last year. I didn't watch a lot of film on it, but, I mean, it couldn't have been good because they signed a lot of people and brought in a new defensive coordinator. So, man, I just want to be good, man. I want to be part of a good team, a winning culture. So that's kind of what we got to do, change the culture a little bit and believe we winners, you know what I'm saying? Have that collective belief that we can be a great defense and a great team, too.
Like I said, you've been a veteran around this league. Just kind of watching from afar the quarterback competition and how that all ended and Shane's decision. What was kind of your outlook on that and your perspective of how it all shook out?
Yeah, man, the coach made his decision. You can only agree with his decision, with the decision he made. I think AR a good quarterback, Daniel a good quarterback, but Daniel been there a little bit longer. He been to the playoffs, so they probably just leaned on experience versus inexperience. So I don't know what played into the decision, but whoever the quarterback is, man, like I said, man, I just want to go to the playoffs, man, win some games, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully Daniel leading us. We're going to be behind Daniel, and he can get us to the playoffs. Danny Dimes, let's go.
What stuck out to you about Daniel's camp and just his way of playing quarterback?
Like I said, bro, he been there. I feel like both quarterbacks had a good camp, Daniel and AR, but I just feel like they probably leaned on experience a little bit more. I was more so worried about the defense, but I mean, obviously Danny was like a top 10 pick, so we know he can throw the ball. We just gotta make great decisions from whoever throwing the ball, keep the turnovers down, and as a defense, we gotta force turnover so we can stay out the field and they can be on the field putting up points. So Danny, we believe in Danny right now, and Danny we trust.
What advice would you give AR just battling this adversity? Yeah.
Just keep believing in yourself. You a top 5 pick for a reason. Physical specimen. He can throw a deep ball better than 99% of the quarterbacks I ever seen. So, like I said, but being a quarterback is way more than just physical attributes. You got to have that mental aspect too. So, I would just say, man, just don't get down on yourself. Stay confident. Keep believing in yourself and just keep working, man. Get the mental aspect down, and I think he'll be a good quarterback for somebody one day, if not the coach. So, yeah.
And what, a week, a little over a week to the season? I mean, shoot, it's almost here. How do you feel camp's gone? And for yourself, for this offense, for the team, like how are the vibes, I guess, right now?
I feel like we just as a whole team, whole unit got better. I feel like we're a lot more locked in. It's Coach Shane's third year, so you know we pretty much know the offense. We know what we're supposed to do. We know the details of our job, and you know now it's all about just going out there executing, and just making the plays that are out there for us, not leaving anything on the field, and just being at our best.
Yeah. You made a lot of flash plays during camp, and it felt like we saw your improvement each and every day. Did you feel that, and what do you think is the story behind that? Just more comfortability in year two, or how's that work for you?
Definitely a lot more comfortable in year two. Comfortable with the play calls, comfortable knowing what to do, how to do it, and why I'm doing it. Kind of when we broke last year, you know, the coaches, all they said was we just need consistency. Just consistent, be the same person every day, on and off the field. And that's really something that I've been trying to hone in on. And another point was getting with the quarterbacks. So I try to spend as much time asking them questions as anybody.
What was your perspective of the quarterback competition throughout camp and how it all ultimately shook out?
I feel like Coach Shane did a great job kind of being up front with the team. You know, he pretty much got up there during the team meeting and said, you know, finishing off the meeting, you know, Danny's going to be the starter, and we're going to support Danny, and we're going to support Five just as much. So just as a team, that's kind of the plan and the goal.
What's Daniel Jones do well that you think led to this? And it feels like you two had a nice connection throughout camp.
What Danny does well, I mean, I feel like he's a great student of the game. I feel like he just loves ball, and a lot of people don't really see the work that he puts in, but like you could just tell, you know, he just loves football, and you know they shoot, all of our quarterbacks, I feel like they all had this edge about them that a lot of people wouldn't really know unless you're in the locker room with them. So we're just excited for the year, man.
Yeah. When we talk to Daniel, he doesn't have much of that personality. Does he have it with you guys?
Yeah, you know, people don't really want to talk to the media too much. But, I feel like just the camaraderie of the team is just, you know, I feel like we're all close enough to where, you know, we kind of know each other and, you know, we can joke around and, you know, take things a little further than, you know, people that we don't know.
We're almost to the season. Your view on your first training camp, how are the vibes around the team, yourself, this offense? Like, how are we feeling about everything?
I feel good. I think I learned a lot, and the offense is flowing well, and I enjoy being in the tight end room. I think we got a lot of good tight ends, so it's been fun learning from them and getting to know everybody.
You feel comfortable each and every day, just more comfortable within the offense and just like what you're putting out on tape and everything like that?
Yeah, I think being, through OTAs now in camp, being more familiar with the offense and kind of, not having to learn stuff every day, and it's just old memories that are come back in your head, stuff like that. So it's been good to be able to keep that flow going and not, installing something new every day.
What does Daniel Jones do well, do you think, from the quarterback position?
I think he manages the offense well. I think he prepares really good, and he's got he's an NFL quarterback that can make, any throw on the field. So I think he's got a great arm, he's accurate, and he's a good leader. And I think his feet are a little underrated that people don't think of. He's a good runner, too, so I think he does a lot of good stuff.
What do you think this offense can be, and what do you hope it can be this season?
Yeah, I think we got plenty of talent, across the board, so it's going to come down to us executing and doing our jobs. I think we have success.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So it's the preseason, but what is the feeling now getting to start this game and playing out on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of gratitude going into this weekend. But you can't really approach it any differently than I approach any of the other preseason games. The preparation really doesn't change. The only thing is, instead of going out and start the second half, I go start the first half. So be able to play with some guys who I haven't been able to play with yet, which will be fun. But I mean, really no difference. Luckily, I played in a lot of big games at this point in my career. So this just comes down to another one that I'm looking forward to.
What's been the biggest adjustment you think just throughout training camp, preseason, from going from the college level? You played at a high level, big college and all that, but to the pro level?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference for me personally is kind of like all the little intangible things, right? You go from playing in the national championship game and you're the man, and then you get drafted in the 6th round, come here, then you have to, learn that you're of service to so many other people before yourself, while concentrating on yourself and competing to be the best quarterback on the roster myself, right? I still want to have that mindset every day I come into the facility, but at the same time, I got to understand my role and my limits, right? What can I say? What can I not say in the building? All these little things, earning the guy's trust, right? You got to do that again. A lot of the people don't know my playing style or anything about me really, because I was at the college level. So you got to come in here and kind of just restart everything that you kind of built in college. So I think that's probably one of the more difficult things. As far as on the field play, everybody talks about the speed of the game, and it is faster, right, on the defensive end, but it's faster on the offensive end too. So I think that's something that's not talked about enough. Like, everybody is leveled up. So yeah, it's faster, but everything is.
You said you've got to know your place, I guess. Have you overstepped your role here a few times or not?
That's a good question. That's a question. Some of my coaches would probably say yes, but I like to think I've done an okay job, but you never know.
I remember how excited you were that the Colts picked you when we talked to you after the draft, and this is where you wanted to be on this. And I realize you played 2 preseason games, but this is a start. Mm-hmm. So now you're starting for that team. Does it make it different that you're out there when you tried out there with the first or with the offense?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, right now, it seems pretty similar to the other weeks. But of course, I put a lot of, I carry a lot of weight going into this game on my shoulders, for better or worse. But I understand kind of the situation here. But I don't want to make too much of it, right? It's just another opportunity to go out there and play your best, right? Take one play at a time. I think you get to this level, and you don't have to worry about so many things. You don't have to worry about, the 10 guys around you. Not that I was very blessed in college, but everybody's just going to do their job. And as long as I do mine, it's just like fitting in that 11th piece of the puzzle into the offense. So I don't know. I guess maybe before the game, if you ask me, it'll be different. But right now, it's pretty similar.
Bradley, did you come to, like, did you get into the pros with a routine that you built over your time in college daily?
Yeah, it's a good question. I did. However, when you go to like Notre Dame and Duke, you don't realize like how much time you have. And I've kind of talked about that a lot, but like that's a real thing, right? You get here and you have so much more time before practice, after practice. I mean, there were times, where you have to tell the nutritionist after practice to get you a to-go box because you have class to get to. Well, now, I'm free the rest of the day, and it's 1:30, and I can do so much more to help develop my game instead of going to classes and homework and all these different things. Like that's like a complete game changer. So I had a routine, and I thought I was doing a lot, but you don't know what you don't know. And then you get here and you see Daniel AR and Jason Bean with this whole routine that I felt like I was missing out on for 4 years of college, but realistically it just wasn't possible for me to obtain.
So as a result of that, like how much can you grow your game, once you get here? I mean, you're playing in different environments, so you see more, you grow from that, and then the time that you can put in.
Yeah, I think growth is probably like one of the biggest things when it comes to who I am as a player. I'm a guy who's like always eager to learn, always eager to get better. I think every day at practice you kind of see a progression in my comfortability around this place. But like all these little things that you don't really think about in college, like I never really thought about the way that I throw the football or the way that I grip the football or, the soles of my shoes and my feet is something that I've changed here. Like all these little things I've changed. Like, boom, you wear a wristband on your right wrist. Well, Daniel taught me that sweat builds up right there. You'd rather put it up a little bit. Like there's just so many little nuances that you learn at this level that you can implement into your game. Like there are things that I would like if I was this player now and had another year in college, I just think the sky's the limit. But that's not the case. But I think the sky's the limit at this level as well.
So you learn that much that fast?
Yeah, every day it's like man, and I'm able to implement that because I have more time.
I know you're locked in the moment, the future got a game. Do you think though that after the game, like when the season begins, it's going to be Jones and it's going to be AR, and your practice time will be limited. So this is maybe the last chance to really get out there and I don't want to say play meaningful minutes, but play significant minutes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've never been through this before, so I don't know what the season's like. But I've heard the stories of the quarterback 3 that doesn't get any reps all week in a normal game week. But hopefully that's not the case for me. But I mean, obviously right now is like my time. So once again, it's like, do you think of all the situations that could happen if you play good? Do you think about all the situations that could happen if you play bad? I'm not trying to do that.
Did you play bad?
Right, you normally play bad, so yeah, I got one half, right? It's not a do or die situation. It's a, go out there and do my job.
You've had a few different quarterback coaches this level in your life. How would you just describe the style that Cam Turner brings to that job? And do you feel like, does he coach all of you guys in the room the same? Is it a little different based on who's, starting?
Yeah.
What's that like?
No, I wouldn't say there's too much of a difference in the way that he coaches everybody. Obviously, as a rookie, there are the little things that he likes to get, but he's absolutely right about the little things in my game that we're trying to fix. But I think the coaching style is very similar amongst every QB. He's a quarterback coach that gets it, and like what that means, I don't really know, but like he understands how to talk to a quarterback. He understands what we see. He's not result driven, right? You make the right read, you throw a bad ball, that's one thing. You make the wrong read, throw a bad ball, that's another thing. And he understands that. So just very comfortable, relaxed. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, like realistically, he's probably my biggest fan because the better I play, the better he looks. And that goes for all the quarterbacks. So like when we're watching film together, he's encouraging us and he's coaching us hard to make us better players.
Anthony and Daniel have obviously been in a very well publicized QB battle, but how generous with their time have they been with you? It's obviously like you kind of be shown the ropes a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think that's an underrated thing that isn't talked about enough is just the genuine spirit that both of those guys have. I mean, from the day that I walked into the building, I knew Daniel since I was in like high school. Obviously, we both Duke guys, and every Duke game, like he would watch every Saturday because they have Saturdays off or time to watch it. He would text me after every game, and then here we are playing together. And then Ant, a guy that's like my age, is one of the more like mature people on the team. And I know there's a lot of stories and stuff out there about him, but literally every day he's just been so good to me. Just a genuine guy who is going to work every day. Same with Daniel. Like, if I ever have a question, they're willing to answer that immediately. And I think both of those guys are people that, I have no business answering questions, but are humble enough to maybe ask me a question. Hey, what'd you guys do in college? How'd you approach this situation? What was it like playing in the national championship game? Like, all these different things. And I'm just like so shocked at how, invested these guys are into my time and my development while being focused on a quarterback competition themselves.
Always good to get a chance to hear from our Indianapolis Colts. Week 1, just 17 days away. Jake Arthur of Locked On Colts and Colts on SI joining us as always. All right, Jake, we didn't get a chance to talk to you after Tuesday because I think we were a little busy.
Yeah.
All right.
So
things were happening. Daniel Jones named starter here for the Colts. Shane Steichen giving us his reasoning on Tuesday. We caught up with Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones. Haven't got a chance to catch up with you. Your reaction to the decision. Were you surprised? Is surprised even the right word? I guess what was your perspective of the whole thing?
Well, I feel like when we talked after the game last week, we mentioned Anthony probably won the on-field portion of the QB battle, but does Shane Steichen want someone who can just simply pull the strings of his offense and do exactly what he's told, like Daniel Jones? And I think that's ultimately what happened. I think Shane Steichen chose Shane Steichen more than he chose an individual quarterback.
I like the way you just put that. Yes.
I think he trusts his system and wants to pick the guy who is most closely going to run it the way he would like it to be run. With Anthony, you still have to worry about development. There's still kind of elementary things, I guess, that aren't there that, of course, Daniel Jones, after 69 starts in the NFL, just inherently has that more than Anthony does. And I think they just want to get back to 2023 when they had a veteran like Gardner Minshew.
Right.
And they were knocking on the door of not only the playoffs, but an AFC South title, which they still haven't gotten in a dozen years or so.
And consistency was the big buzzword for Shane Steichen when choosing a quarterback. And if there's one thing to describe Daniel Jones throughout camp, I would say consistent with his performance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like he was kind of steady Eddie throughout camp. And Anthony Richardson, sometimes the highs are highs, the lows are lows. But it seems like the behind-the-scenes stuff, operational functionality, I would call it, at the line of scrimmage was really the differentiator here between the two. And now Daniel Jones, does it lift the ceiling? Does it lift the floor for this team in 2025? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think it probably lifts the floor. Like, you probably will get a slightly more consistent offense that is easier to game plan for. I mean, it's still going to be a very run-based thing, I would imagine. But rather than being able to just pull out a big play out of your hat at any moment, you're probably going to have to set that up with establishing the run game and then hoping Daniel can hit some big play action shots, or, it's going to have to be a little more traditional. I think like in 2023, we saw Shane kind of getting weird with it. We saw a lot of really unique things in Anthony's rookie year. And even with Gardner, they were able to kind of do some of that, which we just really did not see as much last year, at least not successfully. There was some weird stuff, but it just didn't go well.
Yeah.
But no, I think Shane wants to get back to what he saw positively in his first year here.
Yeah, no question. I think we'd all like that,
Yeah.
right? We'd all like to see some positive vibes around this franchise. All right, outside of quarterbacks, injuries were obviously a big point of conversation throughout camp. Juju Brents, Jalen Jones back practicing. Great to see.
Kenny Moore, too.
Kenny Moore back out there. Xavier Howard here. So DB room seems to be revived a little bit. We'd love to see that. Shane Steichen didn't seem concerned about getting guys back for week 1. Good signs all around for injuries.
I would say so. Juju Brents is back in 11-on-11s. Jalen Jones is doing positional work, so that's great that you have those guys back. Howard, Jerome Henderson, DB's coach yesterday, said they're going to keep chipping away at his rust each day. And Howard, for what it's worth, emphatically said that he would be ready for a full workload week 1 if they need it. So a week ago, the secondary looked a little frightening because you were probably going to have to rely on a couple first and second year undrafted guys. But now there's actually some veterans who've been there and done that, and it looks like the health there should be better. You're still without Justin Wally and Hunter Wooler for the rest of the year, which is discouraging. But, I mean, the Colts typically do well when they get veteran defensive backs in the building, so my concern level is a lot less than it was last week.
Yeah, and Shane Steichen saying guys who sat out here on Thursday, had to get my day right, here on Thursday, Josh Downs, Nick Cross, DeForest Buckner come to mind, said he's not too concerned about them being ready for week 1, which is obviously music to our ears. Last thing I got for you, Jake, going into the preseason finale, Colts and Bengals here on Saturday. We're not going to see any starters, but still a lot to be learned as far as the depth goes and the guys who are looking to make this roster. What's sticking out to you, and what are you looking for when it comes to this preseason finale for the Colts?
Yeah, so, I mean, this is probably finding the final 3 to 5 roster spots, you'd probably say. Probably very, very heavily reliant on special teams here. So just see among those bubble guys who really stands out. You're going to get a half of Riley Leonard in the first half and a half of Jason Bean. So pretty confident Riley Leonard is probably going to be carried onto the roster as the emergency third guy throughout the year. But you would still want to see what that looks like. So, yeah, you see what an entire half of Riley Leonard looks like. See those bubble guys, see anyone who pops out. Some of those spots, like cornerback that we mentioned, safety, like is Daniel Scott going to be that fourth safety that replaces Hunter Wooler? At corner, is Alec Johnson, Jonathan Edwards, is he going to be able to play? But Alex Johnson, is he going to come in and do anything that earns him a roster spot now that these veterans are back? Like, there are a couple guys vying for just feels like a few more spots on the roster.
How many tight ends do you think this team keeps?
Probably 4.
4?
Yeah, I mean, as much as you would love to see Jelani Woods make it, I've just been running with like the third team offense throughout, and like I doubt Will Mallory's going to play. And typically, if you don't play in this final game, that's a good indicator you're going to make it.
Right.
So to me, it's felt like Woods and Mallory are battling for one spot this whole
I see.
time.
Okay, got it.
I just think there's on defense, you're going to be so diverse and use so many different guys, especially in the secondary, that you need extra spots on the defensive line, especially, and cornerback and safety. So they might have to trail a little thin at like maybe running back and tight end as well.
Mo Alley Cox, Tyler Warren, Will Mallory, Drew Ogletree?
Yeah.
Okay, we're thinking that's the 4 per Jake Arthur. Okay, there you have it. All right, appreciate your insight as always, sir. You can keep up with him on Locked On Colts on WTHR Plus. We'll, of course, have Colts coverage for you on WTHR as well. We'll see what the Colts do in this final preseason matchup.